What up, dudes? It's Gaz, and welcome back to another Warframe video. So, Happy New Year! We got the Nyx rework in full force, and it's been really strong. So I've got a level 10,000 build guide for you today for Nyx and her new rework. Now, that's not the only build that you could use with her. I've actually used my previous Nourish build at level 10,000 as well, but this is more of a goofy, weird one that we thought of today, involving a helmet you might not normally be using with Nyx, to get tons of procs from the new arcane, and just have a really easy time killing these high-level enemies. Additionally, we have a new build for the Angstrum, meant for killing these high-level enemies relatively easily. With the right builds and stuff, you can shred these level 10,000 Thrax in literally like one bullet. So let's get right into it. Before we do, make sure you sub this channel. We do daily Warframe video uploads, build videos, news videos, discussion videos, all that kind of stuff in a place for Warframe content. And yes, in 2025, we'll be covering the game as extensively we did in 2024, so hooray. Okay, so the build today is going to be, I don't have a name for it really. I call it Decoy Control, but it's got 4 augments on it. It's got the Decoy helmet from Loki, and we're using the Prisma Angstrum pistol. Now, some things about Nyx's rework that I didn't first realize, she's actually a lot stronger than I originally thought. One of the big things is that you can actually be inside the Assimilate bubble as your operator and have an invincible operator with Nyx. Revenant cannot do that, so she is actually better than Revenant for Void Cascade after some new developments. So yeah, you can have an invincible operator with her. Word on the street is you can actually shoot through her Assimilate bubble as the operator for a damage buff as well. I couldn't notice that, but people are saying that is a thing, so yeah, she's really good for Void Cascade, and additionally, with the augment reason today, you can actually get a bunch of easy efficiency and power strength with some interesting strategies. So let's get right into it. But yeah, as you can see in the footage, we are one-shotting high-level enemies with these weapons, with the right kinds of builds. You know, multi-million red crit damage on these Thrax, it's enough to take them out in one shot. So let's get right into what we've got going on today. Alright, so here we are on the sim with Nyx Prime. And I would be trying to use basically everything I used in that footage for that high-level mission and show it to you today how you can basically replicate it. So I go for the first things first. We've got the Scourge spear gun weapon. We've got the Prisma Angstrum Incarnon pistol. And we've got the Praedos Incarnon melee. And we're on Nyx Prime with these shards. I'll explain the shards a little bit. We get the Panzer Builds. Now, as far as what we're doing here and the idea of the build today, the main thing we're using the decoy ability of Loki to actually make it an immune, like, status proc turret, kind of. This build is meant to be a turret to a degree, but let's just go ahead and show it right here. So I'm not going to go invincible because you can just be invincible with your 4. So what you do to make this build work is you're going to go ahead and find an enemy. Well, first you want to get your Incarnon form, too. So you get your Incarnon form and your Angstrum, decoy, mind control, then fire your fireballs at it. You can stack up the fireballs of this damage really fast. You can also bounce infinite fireballs off the actual the decoy turret here, and as you can see, the enemies are getting procced like crazy. I've got the Arcane Impetus Arcane fully maxed out. I've got an infinite status proc turret, basically, that is going to let me bounce these fireballs off that home in on other enemies. So, big overhead shots, which the fireball turret does go for, we're going to be hitting, you know, like, multi-million. If we go for body shots, it'll be a lot weaker. But as you can see, we pretty much didn't have to try very much. We have an invincible turret after all that. And you can just drop your mind-controlled decoy control target after all that. So there's more things happening you can initially tell, but that's the general idea of this build, is to mind-control, or sorry, to decoy enemy, mind-control so the decoy is invincible, and as they shoot the decoy, they'll take procs, and then those procs will be for Condition Overload or for Gun and Galvanized Aptitude for big damage. Also gives you a bunch of procs of the new Arcane Impetus. Okay, so let's start explaining what's happening here. And yes, I do have 4 augments on here. You don't need all 4 of them at all, but I like having them all on here. So let's explain what's going on here. Okay, so Worthy Camaraderie. Since we're using the Prisma Angstrum's Fireball Launcher, we'll be focusing on getting headshots. So that will be our main DPS weapon. Worthy Camaraderie gives us increased crit chance on weak point hits. So our Fireball Launcher goes for homing headshots, or we can just directly aim it ourselves, and it will do a ton of crit chance on those headshots. Naira's Anguish, in case we do want to do a slam attack, this is definitely not used on this build at all. You could switch this for a different Exilus mod, but, you know, increased parkour, increased aim glide, it helps while you're in Assimilate, because we are using Assimilate on this build, and you cannot bullet jump in Assimilate, so very helpful there. Prime Flow on here to make sure we have tons of energy. Now, this is actually very important. This is an essential mod on this build, because we're using Prime Flow to get them to 640 energy, and we're using 1 blue Archon shard to get over 700 energy. because of the Prisma Angstrum perk called Paladin Virtue. When you have over 700 energy, you get increased base crit multiplier. That will scale very nicely with what we're doing today. So, yeah, I am using a blue shard to get extra crit damage on my pistol. Moving on, we've got Prime Continuity, so our abilities last longer. It's pretty important for decoy, but again, we could probably get away with not having as much duration on here, but it is one of the best mods you could throw on here. So yeah, longer decoy, less drain in the Simulate technically, longer Psychic Bolts, and longer Mind Control. Now for the augments, let's start with the first augment, Assimilate. This means that you can't bullet jump basically in Nyx's 4, but you can jump and roll. It will make you invincible while you're in it, and yes, your operator can stay inside the bubble to be invincible as well. So let's go ahead and show that in practice here. So I will get into Assimilate, and I will just go to my operator form. My operator is not supposed to be invincible, but he will be invincible, or they will be invincible here. As you can see, we are in a Nyx bubble, and we are an invincible operator. I can also shoot through here. Oh, 102k. Oh. So maybe the amp damage buff is pretty strong from Assimilate, because I think it stacks up the more enemies shoot it. I'm thinking at least. So yeah, it looks like there is a big amp damage buff that's coming out of here. So you just stay in here invincible, and apparently get amp damage buff too. So very good stuff there. Not many other frames can really do that. And, oh, by the way, you can also stack up the Angstrum really easily, or you can stack up the Mind Control really easily, shooting these enemies with the Angstrum. This should be all done, pretty much done for now. Very good stuff. So you have 573,000. I see this thing do 41 million damage in one bullet. And remember, too, we're invincible for all of this. We just have to watch this stuff happen and laugh. Yeah, very good stuff. But yeah, as we're going over, yeah, 19 million damage dished out by that Mind Control target in like the limited time it was out. So good stuff there. Assimilate, very good. Basically one of the best mods in the game now. Damage Decoy. So what we're using with the Decoy Augment to make enemies take a bunch of procs. Decoy Augment. Decoy can be cast on enemies, making enemies that attack the decoy will receive 5 random status effects, and reflected damage is increased by 350%. So easy status procs and increased deflected damage. They're going to be shooting an invincible enemy and taking procs and reflected damage from that. Additionally, as I said earlier, new Arcane from the Warframe 1999 update, Arcane Impetus, unique status effects from abilities give you increased power strength and efficiency. So this is going to be basically fully stacked all the time. There's 13 stacks of this, and you get 13 stacks all the time. 39% efficiency and like 50-ish% power strength. Not the most power strength, but Nyx doesn't even need that much power strength anyway, so it's good to go. Pacifying Bolts. Now this is definitely personal preference. I like this one because it gives you a passive right away, but you throw out Psychic Bolts, and they actually will give you rad procs, and you'll get more bolts too. This is just let you armor strip more enemies, but also gives you your passive right away, which gives you increased crit chance on weapons. Not needed, but definitely pretty fun. Intensify, this is here to make us so we're guaranteed to have our power strength all the time for Psychic Bolts, to have full armor strip. If you don't have this, you'll be relying on Arcane Impetus all the time, which is a little bit annoying, but still not that bad. Mind Freak, again, this is an augment you don't need to have, but I have it on my build. Increases the damage and movement speed and attack speed of the Mind Control target. So if you want to have a Mind Control target like I just had right there, shooting stuff really fast, and actually not feel like a complete idiot, I would recommend this, but also, again, it's not needed if you're not using your Mind Control target for damage. I'm not really using it for damage, it's just there for fun. It's a 4 augment build, so that's kind of funny too. And the last mod, Vigorous Swap. When you swap weapons, you get increased damage by a lot. Great for our Prisma Angstrum Fireball Launcher, killing high-level enemies. And for the last Arcane, we got Arcane Precision. On headshot, increased secondary damage. Great for our Angstrum, our main DPS source. Okay, and as far as our other weapons here, we got the Scourge Prime. Not used that much here, but basically it can be guaranteed headshots. I've currently got that on Radiated Reload because we're on Nyx to get rad procs, but there's a new magnetic mod you can throw on here too. For magnetic corrosive, good for armor and shields and overguard, but radiation for Nyx is going to stay on here for now. And that's basically a corrosive proc build. Not really, it's mainly just there for headshots, honestly. The main thing that we're using here for our damage is to be the Prisma Angstrum pistol. Barrow just had this, and it's really powerful in the current patch. As far as our perks on here, we've got the Paladin Virtue, as stated earlier, for increased base crit. We've got Rapid Reinforcement for increased reload speed, because you reload this thing a lot. And also Critical Parallel, giving increased crit chance and crit damage. Now, this Riven might look kind of weird. But I will tell you right now, that negative on the Riven is actually good. Why is that? We're using the new Pistol Acuity mod. And it gives increased weak point crit chance and weak point damage. But look at this. Multi-shot cannot be modified. So with this mod, minus multi-shot is okay. Yes, you heard me right. I rolled this Riven to get minus multi-shot. With these new mods, minus multi-shot Rivens are okay. Because as long as you have this mod equipped, it does not alter the multi-shot. As you see, the multi-shot is base, the way it's supposed to be. If I took this mod off, Pistol Acuity, it would become negative multi-shot. But yeah, that's the thing, guys. You don't have to worry about that if you have this mod. And additionally, this mod, Pistol Acuity, works really, really well on the Fireball launcher and Rocket launcher of the Prisma Angstrum. So, as far as the build type, we got Corrosive and Magnetic. The build shouldn't matter that much as long as you got Crit on there and Pistol Acuity and Galvanized Shot. You could also go for Secondary Outburst for more damage, but that's way too annoying. So I just say go for Deadhead, nice and easy. And the big thing here is we're going for headshots with our Fireball launcher, and it's getting Deadhead multiplier and Acuity multiplier and Galvanized Shot multiplier, so it can hit really, really hard. Additionally, when they're procced by all those Loki ability procs, damage decoy procs, that's so many procs for Condition Overload that it's just going to be a really, really easy one-shot, basically. So let's get our mind control going here. Alright. I do need some Incarnon ammo here. There are downsides to having multi-shot. For example, building a Incarnon charge might be a little bit harder for you than normally. As you see, like 100 million plus damage on these fireball bounces. So yeah, this is not like set in stone. You don't have to do the exact things I'm doing here, guys. Just do the things that seem good to you, that are the general idea of this build. If you don't want to have, the exact, if you don't want to have a minus multi-shot Riven because you think it's weird, more power to you. I don't think it's good either, but I think it's interesting and funny. That's why I want to show you guys that minus multi-shot Rivens are actually pretty good, as is the Angstrum, 18 million damage rocket launcher, 100 million plus fireball launcher. It's just really strong, and yeah, it does that to max levels too, so good stuff. Now, as far as other builds you could use on the Angstrum, as I said, you could use Outburst instead. You could use, that's pretty much it, maybe Merciless instead. But for me, Corrosive is good to go. You could maybe put Blast on here instead as well, but I think this is just great, guys. Additionally, the Incarnon form does have built-in fire, so you could try out something like Cascadia Flare or something along those lines. Now, as far as the other shards on my Nyx, I don't have multiple Nyx Prime for different builds. I use this one for all my builds. But right now, I've got a blue shard here for that energy max. But the other ones are going to be Parkour Velocity, 2 Parkour Velocity, and actually 3 Parkour Velocity and 1 Casting Speed. So you can jump around faster and assimilate. Not having those means you're really slow to assimilate. But with those shards and with the Praedos, you can jump pretty far and assimilate and cover decent ground. Alright, for the last little bit here, we got the Praedos Incarnon for increased movement speed. We've got Drifting Grace, Adept Reflexes, Evolved Ascension, and Kinetic Harmony. As far as the build, I don't think this thing was even used once. It wasn't, but it's a speed stat stick build with Melee Crescendo and Corrupt Charge. Try to get as many additional combo as possible to get for Outburst, but yeah, we're not using Outburst here, so don't worry about that too much. Just basically a mobility stat stick. And for our companion, the final thing here, we got the Panzer Cat, the Panzer Paphyla, and it's going to be there to give viral procs, because we don't have any viral on our weapons. So viral quills will drop viral on the enemies, they take a lot more damage, and that's basically it. I mean, the rest of the stuff is pretty good too. We got Reinforced Bond for fire rate, and we got Tenacious Bond for crit damage. This helps a lot for what we're doing here. But yeah, the big thing here is just going to be those viral quills. And for the Panzer Cat's Claws, we do have Burning Claws in here to get some fire procs. We could have Archon Stretch and Shocking Claws, but you're not going to really be getting that in Assimilate anyway, so who really cares about that? But besides that, the rest of the stuff is going to be like just standard things. Like that Magnetic Claws here to test it. It didn't really do anything, so don't really recommend this one too highly, but still interesting either way. And that's basically it for my new Nyx Decoy Control build, guys. It's really weird. How about, it's really weird. It's effective, but it's weird. It's not really a build I'm going to be running on a daily basis, but it has some fun stuff going on. We can, do our mind control stuff, stack up our Angstrum. I've gotten like 40,000% damage from my decoy on this before. You can launch the fireballs from, they will bounce off the mind controlled target as like a little mini fireball turret and seek out enemies. I find that pretty fun. But again, it's not for everybody. This is not exactly the most meta Nyx build. It's a fun, goofy Nyx build that I've been enjoying. I have used for high levels, so yeah. That's basically it for the video, guys. Let me know what kind of builds for Nyx you've been using in the comments down below. I know there's lots of them, and I do think she actually is better than Revenant too. With the whole like Invincible Operator thing, that's something that Revenant can't really do. So, great stuff. I'll see you in the next video. Have a great start to the year, and yeah, see you very soon on stream. Peace.